Hello everyone and welcome to today's stream. Today we are talking to the winners of the Audience Choice Awards from the Los Angeles Liftoff Film Festival. As you can see them on our screen, let's find out a little bit more about who is joining us. So let's start with Lewis. Lewis, do you want to give yourself a quick introduction and what your film was?
Yes, I am so sorry. I was also listening to the YouTube. But hi, my name is Lewis Woods. From North Carolina. I currently live in Los Angeles, and I directed and co-wrote A Guide to Being an Earthling with Anjini Azhar.
Amazing. Anjini, why don't you fill us in a little bit more about who you are and what your role was?
Yeah, for sure. I'm Anji, and I was the producer on A Guide to Being an Earthling, and I was one of the co-writers of the film, and I am also a director and writer.
Amazing. Well, thank you both for joining. Can't wait to find out a little bit more about your project. And then finally, we have Jason. Hi, Jason.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? So yeah, I am the writer, director, and editor of REM. It's 2020 was a crazy year, and editing is something that I'm really looking into right now as just a way to just better my craft, actually, as a writer.
Nice. So you wore many caps then to make this film happen.
Yes.
Cool. We will definitely be delving into your different roles when we get onto your film. But we're going to start with A Guide to Being an Earthling. So let's get that going. So as this loads up my side, here we go. It is just starting. There is a slight lag if you are watching, so the film is coming. If you are in the chat room and you do have any questions for our filmmakers, feel free to put it in there and we will pass those over during the course of this stream. Okay, so for me, the film has started. So Lewis, why don't you tell us a little bit more about the inspiration behind this film and why you wanted to get it made?
Yeah, so 2020 was definitely like a really difficult time. And me and our friends, our friend as in like Anji and I, wanted to do something very creative. And so within our friend group, we were like, oh, what can we do? And Mitchell, our actor and also producer, just has this unique look, very model-esque, but kind of looks like an alien. So I was like, what if we wrote a film about an alien coming to Earth and finding the human emotion? So we wrote that, and then we had Anji come in to help us write it, since she has a little bit more experience. And yeah.
Amazing. So how did you find your model-esque actor?
That's a long story, but we're really good friends.
Okay.
Mitchell and I have been friends for like maybe 3 years, and we have the same interests. He went to Stella Adler. He's currently from Australia. He moved to Los Angeles to go to Stella Adler, and we just started writing. And one day we were like, let's shoot something. And then we brought on Anji, who we've met through a friend. Yeah.
Cool.
I would quite like, one of my points was to ask you a little bit more about the casting process and how you found him. But considering you're friends, I guess we should adapt that question, because his performance is so, let's say, alien. He nails the alien, and like is able to portray it so well. What was your rehearsal period like?
Yeah, it was so great. Mitchell was the one who kind of financed most of it. So it was originally his idea to do a short, and so we were like, okay, let's do this short for festival purposes and also just to get like our names out as creatives. But the rehearsal process was super, it was so fun, because I come from a creature background. I act as well, and I used to work at Universal and Disney as well. So we did a lot of like movement and movement techniques, and we had so much fun with the rehearsal process. We were like, if he was an alien, like what type of alien would he be? How would he walk, and certain things like that.
Amazing. My background is actually in acting and stage combat with a heavy influence of motion capture.
Cool.
So
I want to do motion capture so badly. That's like one of my main goals is
amazing. Well, it's very similar to the whole creating a creature from scratch, and how do they walk? How do they sit? What motions are they going through in order to X, Y, Z? So that makes a lot of sense that you went through that kind of rehearsal period in order to get his performance. That's very, very cool. Great. So I'm just looking, and you've got some lovely locations as well. How did you go about securing those?
Yo, this Anji can tell you how difficult it was to find these locations. I think and Anji, please correct me. I think we originally were supposed to film maybe a week before we actually did, but because some of our locations kind of fell through, we had to push the filming back. But this diner, so beautiful. It's called Penny's Diner. It's in
Barstow.
It's called Barstow. Yeah, Barstow, California. So great, like in the middle of the desert, so random. But they were super nice. They let us film for free, actually.
Wow.
It was a really beautiful location, but most of it was filmed in Vegas. So we drove 4 hours to do most of the filming in Vegas.
It was a challenge, I think, navigating locations in Vegas. We learned a lot about the culture in Vegas. The thing about this film is all of our locations were in progress while filming. It was maybe the first time I hadn't had all of our locations locked down prior to filming. So we were literally like a few hours before our morning call time, and I was like running to like Naked City at 1 a.m. and like locking motels down and sneaking onto the state park and getting that crash landing scene because they didn't want to process our application in time. So it was definitely like the biggest challenge of this film was navigating locations in Vegas.
Locations.
That sounds
in that motel.
Stressful.
Oh my god.
Okay. So you said that you had to move the shoot date due to the locations to a week before you were actually supposed to shoot. How did you manage to organize everyone, the team that were involved? Were they all, I guess I should ask, how many shoot days were there in total?
So there were 3 shoot days total. And we kind of warned everyone a couple weeks before we had to push so last minute that some issues were being had. So it was really a matter of just like herding everybody into the general direction early so that they were ready and aware to have their entire schedule open.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And again, like, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think we originally had a different DP. The first couple of shoot days, and then Anji just pulled her magic strings, and we ended up getting Melise, who's fantastic. She's such a wonderful DP, and I'm so glad that we had her. But even with the whole shot list and everything, we had to like redo our pre-production process because we had to change so much.
Wow. So there's preparing to succeed and then preparing to prepare, which I feel like you guys were doing. I don't know if I would have been able to cope with the stress levels of that kind of intensity of a shoot, not knowing exactly what I'm doing the next day. Kudos to you guys, absolutely. So with that in mind, so the locations were the hardest part of the shoot, nailing that down and finding out where you were going. But were there any other mishaps along the road that you had to overcome in order to get the production completed?
I think our script was like maybe 20 pages long, and we had to cut so much because of time.
Yeah.
The script is super ambitious, and it should be a feature. It really
should. We had a scene with like a horse walking by. We had like a picture horse and everything, and we cut it 20 minutes before the horse was supposed to go on. Like
I was so excited for this horse.
Sorry?
I said you were so excited for the horse.
I was really excited.
So excited
Live animals on our set. I was really excited. I think another thing that was kind of challenging was like navigating COVID. Because we shot this in 2020, so it was kind of right like November of 2020, so it was kind of in the heat of COVID. So like we had a lot of scares because like false positives were going around. And so that was like a little bit of a scare that we had. And just keeping everybody safe. And like Vegas is potentially one of the worst places to be during a pandemic.
And for some reason, we thought it would be so much better than Los Angeles filming.
I don't know why
Vegas during COVID, but it was
a nightmare.
Okay. Were there any highlights during the shoots, like a particular moment that happened that you were like, yes, this is what it's all about? Can you share any of those stories?
Yeah, I think it was the bonding. We ended up staying in this really nice hotel. And just like after each shoot day, we would like bond and like talk about the day and like grow closer with our assistant producer as well, Kiana, who's amazing. And we just ended up getting really closer and like just being in Vegas, like when you're stuck at home for like 6 months, and then you decide to like kind of go out there and start doing something. Being in Vegas, like, yes, it is probably the worst place to be during COVID, but it also was just so much fun. Yeah. And like, we're doing what we love. So like, just doing it and filming it was honestly so great.
Absolutely. I think there was like, it was my first time in Vegas fully, other than just location scouting. And so there was a scene that I think is coming up later right now on this feed, but the couple is like outside and they're stargazing and talking about
that's
this,
literally
that, and the
just
third.
coming up. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Exactly. Yeah. And so we filmed that at night in the middle of the desert, and so there was like a dust storm coming on, and like I had to have someone hold on to me while someone's holding on to Lewis, while someone's holding on to the DP so we don't blow away. And it was a super exciting moment because I felt like I was really out there and like on the field, and it was just it's like only film, and there are so many or so little careers that can take you to these places. Like only in film am I going to be standing in the middle of the Vegas desert with a team of people where a sandstorm is about to start and it's nighttime and we're filming a movie. And so, you know, being able to have those experiences and like have those stories to tell is such a valuable part of this process.
And you both said it in different words, but you're so lucky to be doing the things that you love. Which brings me back to the question that we were discussing before we went live of what was the moment you realized that this industry was for you? Was there a particular film that you watched and you were just like, this is what I want to do? Or was there just, I don't know, a cultural moment that you were just like, the film industry is for me? The question will go to both of you, so I don't mind who answers it first.
Lewis, go first.
Okay. Yeah, I've always wanted to. I come from a family of performers. Like my dad plays saxophone and like used to play for big bands. But I think acting just kind of was something that I always wanted to do, and then it became directing after watching my favorite movie, which I'm not sure if this is the same question, but I'm going to answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason I think it's because I love the books, but I'm obsessed with the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and just seeing that movie and seeing how like I guess they use practical effects, but then also like CGI, and they're on location. I love location so much. I think that kind of like inspired me to want to film, and then of course more movies and more movies and more movies.
Right. No, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Narnia, it's amazing.
It's so dorky.
And I feel, but I still
so
feel like
dorky.
It holds up to the standard of filmmaking today. And it's how many years old now? They've managed to capture the magic.
Yeah. It's a great film, but it is dorky. Like I love Lord of the Rings too. I'm just one of those like nerds. Anji?
Yeah, Anji. What's yours?
I don't know if there was like a definitive moment. It was kind of like a progression of things. I had loved writing ever since I was little. I started writing on our like big clunky desktop computer when I was 7. And I always loved film. I was kind of bouncing around from where I lived and where I went to school. And so when I would go to the cinema, it would be like kind of this one consistent thing, and it started to feel like home. And I just love movies. For me, it's such a sacred process and a sacred form of art. It's my one true love. And I think I originally started off as an actress, and I was on set for a film called Star Trek, and I was kind of like from afar shadowing J.J. Abrams and like watching him orchestrate all of these different things on set and just like bringing it to life. It was just like he was conjuring something really powerful. And I think I realized in that moment, with film being such an important part of my life and like watching this experience and like watching this like magical process, it's truly magic. Like I realized like that's what I want to do.
Great answers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, really great answers. I guess that leads on to the next question of what is your favorite film of all time? And I feel like for Lewis, this is going to be a very difficult question to answer.
I have multiple, but like if I have to really
Right?
pin down to one, I love again The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and I think it's because like I can just watch it over and like
Amazing.
not get bored. But I also like Lord of the Rings and like
If
so-
if Narnia is like one of your ultimate favorite films, when we are at the film markets and we're talking to different sales agents and distributors on what is selling, it's family-friendly content that sells and that is in high demand always. So if there's a way that you can turn your passion and one of your favorite films into a project for yourself that is then marketable to a large audience, it's something. It's
I think
definitely
that's kind of
something
the
to think
route that I
about.
want to go too. Yeah, I think that's already the route. Like I love like when films can like definitely transport you to a different world, and I'm such a family guy anyway, so I think that is the route as a filmmaker that I want to go. But
Amazing.
you know, anything that inspires me. I'm writing a
Right.
TV show with Mitchell Peters, and Anjini hopefully is producing it, but it's about a strip club, so like that's not family friendly.
Nope. But no, just saying to have in the back of the head, definitely.
Yeah.
And Anjini, what's your favorite film?
That's a hard question. I feel like my favorite films change every time I watch a new film. So I guess I'll name a couple. Denis Villeneuve is one of my favorite filmmakers. So Sicario is on the list, and his one of his earlier films, Ensonné, is also one of my favorite films. Moonlight was a big film for me. A Place Beyond the Pines, and then this is like super random, but this will always be like a thing for me. I believe it's French. If I'm wrong, it's embarrassing, but claymation feature film called My Life as a Zucchini, and like I've always loved that film. It's such a like childlike, whimsical take on really dark adult issues.
Okay, My Life as a
Zucchini, like the vegetable.
Okay.
I've heard of that.
It's really good. I think it was nominated. I think it was nominated for the Oscar for Best Animated Feature, or for an animated feature. But yeah, it's really good.
Amazing.
Add that to the list.
Yeah, definitely. Me too. All right, cool. Well, we'll find out what Jason's favorite film is later. Actually, as everyone's still on the call, let's find out. Jason, what's your favorite film?
Okay. Right now, I can't get enough of A Portrait of a Lady on Fire. I've watched that movie.
So good.
I remember seeing it at I think it was IFC when it came out, and there were like 3 people in the theater, and I walked out like, okay, I have to watch that again. And then I bought it when it came out on Criterion, and I've seen it countless times, and I can't get enough of it. Like it's just one of those character-driven pieces that you're just with them, and you watch them fall in love, and you watch them separate, and it's like I can't speak enough about it. Like I lost words for it, but yeah, that movie right now, kind of like Anjini, right? Am I pronouncing your name correctly? Yeah, like actually Anjini mentioned, it's like your movies will change. You know, Sicario was there for a while, and then Portrait of a Lady on Fire just blew my mind. Yeah, it was so good.
Amazing.
I got a lot.
So your film's just come to a close now, and we have got everyone back on the big screen. Are there any final thoughts or questions from anyone that you would like to discuss before we end your section of today's call?
Yeah, I think I just want to thank everyone who helped on this film and who put so much hard work and standing in the desert in the hot sun, or like Mitchell Peters having this trip naked and do one little scene, like, you know. Really, like, it's been such a fun ride, and thank you guys for hosting and
absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Also JJ. Yeah,
of course.
And just to say that your actor Mitchell Peters is in the chat room and has been following along on the stream as well.
What's up, Mitchell? Hey, he's in London right now, actually. So you guys are on the same time zone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for joining, and we'll be moving on to Jason's film. So I guess I'll get it started up this side, and as we hear Jason's inspiration, after that we'll open it up to see if you guys had any notes for him. So I'm just going to get it going this side, and Rem shall be starting any moment now. So Jason, tell us a little bit more about it, what the inspiration was behind your project.
It was a lot of it was two things really. One, my brother had a situation with his fiance where he she had a seizure, and he told me about it from his POV. And then I also met someone during another gig who actually has the disorder, which is RBD. And then I just started thinking about God, like if I tell someone that I love them and I want to be with them, and they have a disorder that to this day has no cure, can you live with that? Can you tolerate that? And I started thinking about, well, what if I was the person with the disorder? And then it just became this simple concept of, if you really want to be with someone, how do you find a way to tell them, or how do you find a way to say, this is who I am, this is what I have, can you love me for this? And it just organically, I just started writing over and over again. And of course, we could all relate with that idea of, I want to be with this person, but I don't know if they're going to accept me for who I am. So I think I'm going to hide for a little bit until I find the right time, if there ever is a right time. No? Yeah.
Nice. Thank you. I'm very aware that Lewis and Anjini need to jump off the call. So I just want to open this up as an opportunity for you guys to have any notes or feedback for Jason before you head off.
I'm still kind of impressed by, I don't know anything about the East Coast when it comes to filming. So did you run into any problems? Like you ended up filming in New Jersey instead of New York, locations, like.
Oh yeah, man.
I know Anji and I probably want to film in New York so badly one day. So like any
well, being in New York, I try to avoid like all the backdrops that you've seen on TV on a regular basis, those wide shots of like New York and the buildings and skyscrapers. I kind of wanted to stay away from that. But actually, yeah, the actor that you see that plays her boyfriend, he was a producer. He wasn't supposed to be the actor. The actor that I casted, I believe he caught COVID, but we didn't know what it was yet.
He's amazing, by the way.
He came through. It's insane. So like good. Me and my DP were on our way to Jersey that morning, and I got the call from the actor, and he's like, "I'm on the ground and I can't get up." And I looked at my DP Benjamin, and he's like, "All right, dude, let's stop at a coffee shop and figure it out. We're early." So that was the first hiccup, and I'm thinking, it's one location, we're good. It's one location, it's one apartment. We'll do all right. And it was like, yeah, okay, so we got to put someone in. And lucky I just had a crew. My costume designer, and Gene is his name, the producer. He was like, all right, I tried on some outfits. We can stick to the color codes, the coordination that you wanted to have the actors in. And they came together and came to me like, Jason, we can still do it. And everyone else was like, yeah, we're here. Let's actually finish this film. And I thank them all the time. Like, you guys, if you guys weren't that behind me in spirit, we wouldn't be having a film right now.
Has Gene acted before?
He is, yeah. We both went to City College, like, and he's definitely he wants to do a lot more work, but he's doing more of a producer role. But he's told me countless times over and over, like, he wants to do more acting.
Gotcha.
Yeah. He saved the project. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
When I watched the film, I noticed that, like, I don't know, it was really concise, like, tonally and stylistically. And like the visuals or like the vibe you were going for kind of matched like the way that you told the story. I was wondering if there were any like films that kind of inspired you to execute it this way.
Definitely. Blue Valentine. By David Cianfrance. I love the way it felt like, I'm pretty sure they marked the actors, but it just felt like the camera was in the way all the time, and like you're watching these two characters deal with their trials and tribulations. And it's like, I wanted the camera to not be this I wanted the camera to feel like they're in the room with them, watching them, but it's like, get out the way if they pass you. Like, it's not about you right now, you're just being in this space with them. So Yeah, yeah. I actually gave my actors that movie to watch, and I'll like just watch it over and over and over and over
Oh,
and over
wow.
again. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I appreciate that though. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
Well, thank you both so much for jumping on today's
Thank you
stream.
for having us.
It's
No,
a pleasure meeting you
absolutely. And
guys.
I can't wait
Thank
to
you,
see what
guys.
you both do next. So please stay in touch, and yeah, good luck with everything that you have going on.
And I'll reach
Thank
out
you,
to you
guys.
guys. I didn't get to really
Yeah,
ask
yeah.
much questions about your film, and I have so many questions. So many.
Please do.
Makeup.
Please do.
Makeup. Oh my
Oh yes,
god.
we didn't even get to talk about the prosthetics.
The makeup. Oh my gosh. Great.
Thank you, guys.
Take
No
care.
worries. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Okay, so it's down to us two now.
There we go.
Here we go. That is crazy. So you had to quickly get your producer in to be the actor,
Right.
but we're lucky that it was a one location shoot.
Definitely.
But still, like you've managed to capture really great chemistry between the two characters. Did the producer already know the actor quite well,
Yeah.
or what was their relationship?
They well, all of us actually graduated from City College. So
Okay.
Gene and Anna, they both they did perform on stage at theater majors. We're all theater majors actually. So yeah, they definitely knew each other, and that was actually my biggest concern, because I said if they don't believe the chemistry between the two, we don't. Why should we care that she's hiding a secret
Exactly.
from him? And it was just a matter of a lot of pre-production that I had with the other actor. We had countless rehearsals over and over again. I had an acting coach by the name of Stephania. She was helping me get them to do, workshops of like looking into each other's eyes, etc. And then once that actor had to, wasn't able to do it, I was freaking out, because I'm like, here comes Gene, and I don't know if the chemistry is gonna match. I chose the actor for a reason, for his size, the way he looked. So it was one of those, just we're gonna throw it to the wall and see what happens. And it's like people are reaching out to me saying, "Yeah, he was amazing." Like Ellie was saying, he was great. And I was like, "Yeah, it's in the books now." They believed it.
Fantastic. So I guess apart from that one hiccup with COVID, did you have any other issues during the shoot, or did it go quite plain sailing?
We had to cut a lot from this film, a lot of meat. Thankfully, my DP was like, he would look at the script and he's like, "Okay, I see what you're trying to do. We got to cut some fat out of it."
Yeah.
The ending, we wanted, it was supposed to be so much more stage combat in a way, but we never got to get in contact with the stunt coordinator, and that whole ending is nothing of what the final draft of the script was. And again, we were in a space for under 48 hours, so it was so sleep for 2 hours. Everyone was crunched up in this really tiny Airbnb. It's one of those, like, you really become a family in a sense.
Definitely.
Spaces, yeah. And a lot of it was just mostly, can we finish it? We have the crunch time. We gotta go. We have 43 hours to shoot the film and be out of the Airbnb. And that was really the beast of it,
So we've actually had a lot of filmmakers shoot their films in different Airbnbs around the world. Did you notify the Airbnb that you were shooting a film in there, or did you just rock up to the location and shoot?
I don't know if we mentioned. I think we mentioned to it. Gene and I were the ones that found the space. I think they were fine with it. The only unfortunate thing was we weren't allowed. Like, even though there was no one there, we asked, like, is there a possibility we can just walk in the space for a few hours? You can be there right there next to us. We just want to scope it out to see how much space we have, because most spaces, they use wide lenses to make it look bigger than it actually is.
Of course.
And me and my DP were like, all right, can we go in there? And we were told no. So we had to wait until we actually had access into the space. And then it was like, okay, this is super tiny. If I turn my shoulder, we're in the kitchen. If I turn my head, we're in the living room. And that's when we started to actually think about, how do we choose angles that won't bore the audience? Like, we've been in this room already. We've been in this space. So that became a lot of the shot list that we had to skim off and get rid of. And it was, thank God for shot lists. Like, shot lists are sort of like scripts. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a skeleton, but there's a guarantee that you're going to add and take away certain things.
Absolutely.
And it was good for us as we shot it, though.
I think you did an amazing job, considering you didn't know what your
Appreciate
limitations were.
Yeah, I know. It's no matter how much you prepare, it's something Just be ready.
So I've also just want to know what camera did you use and what lenses?
Oh, we used the Sony Sony A7S. I think it was the Mark II, and we used like three primes. It was, I think it was a 20, a 40, and a 70.
Okay.
Like they were like the SM lenses. Yeah,
Yeah,
those are the three
nice.
that we used. Yeah. As far as like why I used it, I knew we're gonna be in a small space, and I also love Bradford Young, who's a DP. He's done like Selma. He's done the Solo movie. He did Arrival. I just love how he uses negative fill, and it's like
Yeah.
I wanted the space to feel lived in and not like a sitcom. So if it's dark somewhere, it needs to be dark over there. And of course, the Sony camera is known for its beast of being like used with low light. So we didn't need to add too many LEDs or just we like literally just lit it the way it should feel. And we wanted to have that 360 freedom to move around as much as possible while shooting instead of having to set up. Because again, we didn't have all the time in the world to do that. So yeah.
Yeah,
And we had
absolutely.
the Ronin the gimbal as well with that.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you. A lot of people, when I ask them technically all of the different things that they use, they're like, "Oh my god, you have to ask the DP." I don't know. So I'm glad that you were fully aware of what was going on set as well.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Okay, cool. What's next for the film? So it's currently doing the festival circuit?
Yeah, right now a lot of them we still submitting to a few. We're waiting for a few to open up, and the deadline or it's like 2022. So I'm assuming, by the end of next year, I'll be able to just have it on my Vimeo page, and anybody and everyone could watch it. Yeah.
Great. And what's next for you? Are you working on any other projects, or what's coming up in the pipeline?
I wrote so many scripts during 2020 from episodes for colleagues saying, "Hey, I'm doing a mini series. Can you write a few episodes?" I wrote that. I wrote about 3 different sort of an anthology of short films because I was trying to test myself to see if I can engage an audience within 10 minutes. So it's a lot of bodies of work, and right now I'm just looking to find that crew. People that I know is gonna like elevate the project itself, not just like, hey, let's make a film because we're making a film. It's like,
Sure.
Doing this stuff with festivals and how much money you're putting in and looking at location spaces. It's like, it's going to get tiring. We're going to hate each other, but it's like at the end of the day, can we be proud of it when we step back and look at it? So right now, if I'm not trying to edit or help any friends, I'm looking into videography, just keeping myself around the tools that I love using the most when it comes to filmmaking. So
absolutely. And I think this leads really nicely onto that next question of, as I asked the others who were on the call as well, was there a particular moment or a film that made you realize that this was the industry for you?
Yeah. Well, yes. It's very odd because I've never heard anyone mention this film, but there was a film called Any Given Sunday that Oliver Stone had directed, and then it was about a football team. It was all-star cast: Jamie Foxx, LL Cool J, James Wood, Cameron D. It's like across the board, and it was because at the time I was deep into football. I was watching football on Sundays, and I knew all the rosters. I knew the records, win losses, and this movie showed that we can take the camera and go behind the scenes of that. And I don't know why, but it was just like, holy crap, like this is really cool. I can actually take a camera and go beyond what we see on a TV, and something just clicked like, okay, I want to do this. It was so random when it happened.
No, I will definitely add that one to my list as well, but it does ring a bell. So I have I've definitely stumbled across it somewhere, and it's in there somewhere, but I need to sit down and physically watch it.
Yeah, it's if you love football, it's definitely that movie for you. If you're a huge Jamie Foxx fan, yeah. It wasn't the most like celebrated film, but it was that film for me that just said, okay.
Yeah. Strangely enough, one of the films that made me want to get into this industry was a film called Bend It Like Beckham.
I still haven't seen that yet.
But it is based on football as well, but British football, not the American.
Well, it's real football. I'm sorry, not to hurt anyone's feelings. Football here in the States, I call it American football. Soccer, I call it football. Like,
okay.
Yeah, like American football is like American football. Real football to me is like when I watch soccer. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
sorry, and
no offense taken. But for me, it wasn't necessarily the camera techniques or anything like that that made me interested in this industry, but it was more the inspiration that it can give someone watching the film. Like, it's a coming of age film, so I mean, it's still a great watch if you want to go back and watch it.
I've heard it so many times.
Yeah,
so
it's amazing. And I was, I think, 12 or 13 at the time, so it was like, I want to do that. And I was so into sport as well, so it was just all of the things connected that made me then enter this industry. It's strange how films can have that impact on the life choices that you make going ahead.
Right. It's so, and it's so random. And I didn't have that, when I was 7, I knew what I wanted when I saw, Virginia Woolf on, like, I didn't have that story. I was like in my 20s, and it's like, I love football. I'm not trying to make movies. And then I watched this movie about what fame can do to you as a football player. And it's like, whoa, so fate nice. Found me. It found me.
Well, it kind of makes sense now when you go back on what inspired you to get into the industry, and then looking at the blocking in your film. There's been a comment left here by Mitchell Peters who says, love the blocking and the camera work on this film. So there you go. So you're really managing to get across what you saw. So that's great.
Yeah. And a huge credit to my my DP, Benjamin Garst. He's an amazing camera guy. Great guy. I met him a few years ago. If I didn't have him on with me, I'm pretty sure the shots that you see there would not be as great as it's being praised, because I knew what I would want, but he would tell me, okay, this is how we're going to do it. And I'm like, yeah.
It's one of the pieces of advice that we tell all our filmmakers, especially those that are starting out, maybe making their first film or second film and have this vision of what they're trying to achieve. Work with a DP that knows what they're doing, that can achieve that feel and look that you're
absolutely.
going for.
Absolutely. I tell anyone who asks me, like, what do you look for in a crew? I was like, I want anyone, whatever your role is, I want you to teach me. I don't want to be telling you what to do. It's like, all right, this is what I have. Let me know how do you think we should do this? How do you want to elevate it? And the costume designer that I had, Stephanie, she was another one. She just, when I approached her and asked her about the project, if she was interested, she opened up a binder and she had like examples, like she had drawn out outfits, and she would have like an example cut of the fabric. And I'm like, yeah, you're it. And, she blew me away as far as like, yeah, you're a costume designer.
Everything that you're saying is so good to hear from another filmmaker, because I feel like for someone who really wants to get into the industry as a director, it can be quite a daunting task, because you think everything is on your shoulders and you have to make all of those calls. And essentially, yes, you do have to make the final calls, but you build your team around you to make those decisions and choices and then present them to you, where then you can piece it all together and mastermind it as the director. It's not solely on you. So I feel like you managed to explain that really, really well just then.
I learned it as I go, and I'm like, yeah, you need a team. Like, and then kind of what you mentioned about the whole wearing the 3 hats, and like, I didn't want to be an editor. I was looking for an editor, and because of 2020, everyone's remote, and I like to be really hands-on with like the shots we choose. And the person that I had in mind, they couldn't do it for reasons, family reasons, and I just sat looking at the dailies. And I'm like, okay, Jason, you're gonna have to do this. No one else is here to help you right now. And I just listened to countless podcasts of how to sound edit, editing in general. Everyone had a podcast in 2020, or still. Yeah. And I just read up so much on editing, and that's why I ended up doing it. And I just learned so much. And my respect for sound editors and mixers now, it's like, it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing to watch it now. So
there's a question that's come in for you. So I'm just going to read that out for you. Are there any directions that you do for your actors that you find really helpful? Anything unique?
What I love the most when it comes to with actors is rehearsals. Like, rehearsing to me is so, it's critical and important, because once you get on set, you want that short language, so it's like, if we get on set, I'll just mention something as if, remember that story we spoke about when we were dealing with your family and when they didn't accept you at that time in your life? All right, in this moment, he's trying to take that from you, or just something like, where it's like, okay, I'll be put in the space, and then that's how we'll go about it. But a lot of besides that, whenever I'm giving them small tips of what they should do or how they should not give them their eye, like don't look at them, make them force you to look at them, something like that. It's like short language. But other than that, it's like I like to let them go and just inspire the shot. And sometimes the actors can even change the blocking of it because I love something they did. And it's like, okay, you know what? I love the way, like, even when Anna has a scene where she looks up at him from her phone, I just loved it so much. And it's like, yeah, we're going to do that. That wasn't in the script the way she did it. There was a lot more words, but she had a way of using her face to say everything. And I'm like, yeah, we're cutting that whole page out. So,
Amazing.
yeah. I don't know if that even answered your question. I feel like I went on a tangent just now. I'm sorry if I didn't answer the question.
No, I think you're right. If an actor can do it in a look rather than saying it, it holds a lot more weight than the exposition that we often see in short films, especially. So definitely great. Well, Jason, thank you so much for joining us on the call today. It's been lovely finding out a little bit more about your project and what's happening next. Do you have any other festivals coming up?
No, right now we're waiting. Submissions are in. We're just waiting. A lot of 2022 notification deadlines. Yeah. So, I mean, if anyone who follows me, they know I always post up stuff that are happening as far as with the film. But yeah, thank you so much. This is great. It's my first time doing this too, so it's like.
No, well, like I said, it's been a pleasure having you on board, and yeah, thank you for joining today. All right,
thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And thank you to everyone who tuned in and joined us on today's roundtable. We'll be back soon with another roundtable and more festival updates. Thank you.